question, he says, are you the one? And if you recognize what that's saying, it has two possible answers, yes or no. Pretty simple. But what if the answer is no? If the answer is no, then John must say, okay, the voice I heard from heaven was trying to say something different. The dove I saw descend on Jesus was trying to say something different. And my awareness of who Jesus is somehow flawed. And I made the mistake of declaring him who he is. And so I need to readjust myself. But what if the answer is yes? If the answer is yes, then John has to say, my Messiah, my chosen one and my King, is allowing me to languish in prison. And knows it. And is choosing to let it continue. And does not take the kingdom. And there, he must change himself as well. No matter how this question is answered, he must change. Do you see how in this question, it presupposes a kind of humility? In fact, if you read just a little bit further, he says, are you the one, or should we expect someone else? And you know what that's saying? That's saying, Jesus, even if you're not the one, I will still remain faithful, and I will still trust in God to bring about his chosen one, to bring about his Messiah. But if you are the one, tell me, so I can readjust my mindset on this. I just need a little reassurance. This leads me to the second thing. See, the first one is to identify what the big question is. And as we go through this series, I'm going to present to you some questions and then try to dig behind the surface to find the big question. The easy question, Jesus, why am I in prison? Why don't you free me? The big question is, are you really the person I thought you were? That's the big question. So that's the first thing. The second thing, though, is we need to check our motives. And if you look at John, it was his motives that would have kept him from asking the right question. If he was selfish and focused on himself, then he would not have been able to ask the question he really needed to ask, the "Are you the one?" question. But instead, he is able to get his emotions in check, and you can tell he's asking a humble kind of question, and so he does. He asks not just a humble question, but a big question. The third one is this. It's completely obvious in what John does, but I want to prove it to you just a little bit today, and it's this: go to Jesus. Our disillusionment quite often is about our relationship to the divine. It's about our relationship to God and his relationship to us. And in the Bible, we are told that the relationship between God and humans is done between us through Jesus. And so if I have a question about how God is relating to this world, I need to go to Jesus. That's what John does. He has this question. Now, I don't have a lot of time to get into this, but I just want to let you know that this is a good conflict resolution principle anyway. If you have a question that involves another person, just go right to the source. Just go right to that other person. Just go talk to them about it. I mean, John's like, Jesus, why are you letting me go languish here in prison? And he could have been all accusatory, or he could have been spreading nasty things to his disciples, saying, hey, you know that Jesus guy? You know, he's just letting me, die here, basically. But no, he goes right to the source. That's your bonus point for today. Your extra credit, you can write that down. It's good for conflict resolution. But he goes straight to Jesus, and this is important. And I want to share with you why. We're going to talk about this in just 3 weeks. We're going to talk about Jesus and who he really is. I don't have time to get into it today. But right now, I just want to prove to you that he's the one you need to start with. There are a lot of gurus in this world. There are a lot of religious people and a lot of people who think they know the answers. But if you're going to ask a good question, I'm going to tell you why you need to ask Jesus first. And I'm just going to do it by comparing Jesus to the others. Okay? Let's see Jesus. Jesus says, I am the way. But others say, I know the way. There's a difference there. Many people claim to know what's going on, and Jesus says, listen, it's just me. I am the way. He points to himself and says, I am it. If you want to know the way to walk in life, it's not about learning anything, it's about me. If you want to know the way to know God, it's not about doing anything, it's about me. If you want to know the way to have a better relationship with people, it's not about practicing things as much as it is about me. Jesus says, for some reason, it all starts with me, he says. And that is a claim that you've got to give a little bit of attention to. Secondly, Jesus says, he says, no one comes to the Father, no one comes to God, but through me. The others say, no one comes to God, but through discipline. Work hard and you'll get to God. It's a completely different kind of thing. But then there are three more claims that Jesus says that other people don't even have an answer to. And this one is amazing to me. Jesus says, before Abraham was born, I am. And that I am phrase for the Jewish people of his day was the declaration of God's name. Basically, what Jesus was saying is, I am the God of all eternity. I am the God who created heaven and earth. I am the God who was around before time itself came into existence. I am that God, Jesus says. Okay, now Muhammad didn't say that. Okay, Buddha didn't say that. Buddha said, I'm connected to God. Muhammad said, I know God. Joseph Smith said, I saw God. You can find any religious person in the universe that we know about, and only one person has ever said, I am, like Jesus did. No one compares to him. And here's another one. Jesus said, destroy this temple, by which he was pointing to his body, this body being his temple. Destroy this temple, and I will raise it in 3 days. No one made a claim that if you kill him, he will come back to life in 3 days. Some people might have made claims that they'd come back spiritually or so, but Jesus made a claim. And the reason his claim is really important is that for him, it happened because after he was killed on a Friday, just a couple weeks later, he's talking to a guy named Thomas, and he says to Thomas, touch my scars. No one else in human history has ever had death scars to have someone else touch. And to be able to speak these words audibly, touch my death wound. You can't do that. It doesn't happen. You could say, touch the wound that I almost died from, but Jesus is the only one who's ever been able to say that. The reason I bring that up is that I want to encourage you that no matter what your questions are, start with Jesus. Now, you might have one of these grandiose questions, like which religion is the true religion? Which religion is the right religion? Which church teaches the things that I need to do the most? And I'm going to tell you, no matter what your question is, let's start with Jesus, and if he solves it, then he solves it. You don't need to go any further because his claims are this much higher than every other claim. And so let's go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt, start there and see if his claims measure up to who he really is. We'll deal with this a little bit more at the end of the series, but I want to share with you the last thing. The fourth thing in handling your questions is this: prepare to be surprisingly encouraged. I want you to check this out.